How do you feel with Times Square as your backdrop here?
I feel very New Yorky.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. It took me a while to work out. In fact, you told me that that was a reflection. I thought, why are they projecting that backwards? That's how together I am.
Yeah.
But you know what's really funny is that it's just day or night, it's the same. The videos go all night long and
Mm.
then all day long. And there's a strange light at both times of day.
I know, we're in the city that never sleeps.
Yeah, whatever, Frank Sinatra.
Saint Sinatra.
Saint Sinatra.
Saint Sinatra. So, I think, well, there's so many things I find interesting about you, obviously, on so many levels. But one thing I want to talk about just for a few minutes now is um, sort of what you do or what you used to do for Sunday service. And you don't have to go into the details, but what I want to really hone in on is why you still talk about and teach out of the New Testament story, why that narrative still matters for you, why those principles still matters for you, why you don't check the whole entire thing at the door and just move on.
Um, well, I mean, to be honest, I think it sort of reached the point where it wasn't necessarily always dipping in to the New Testament, and we really kind of deconstructed things to the point where, well, actually, where I was trying to get to, what I was trying to get to, in some ways, was I was trying to approach the whole notion of, you know, how Jack Caputo talks about religion without religion.
Mm.
I was sort of working in some ways towards thinking about that out loud. And one of the things that I wanted to do was kind of, because you know we met in a church building, so the first thing that we did was we decided that we would do very little in the way of predictable church things. So we sang music, but it wasn't remotely what you might term spiritual or worship. It was just songs that we wanted to sing, because I think that music is the mechanism, not just the type of music that you play. And we sort of stripped things down to real bare bones, and I wanted to play around with the idea that you can gather together in community, and you don't always have to talk about religious or spiritual things. You can talk about life. And I find that in some ways you can read, I guess you'd call it scripture in that way, stripped of the religious baggage that sometimes makes it unhelpful. So I was practicing a radical reading of the Gospels in the light of a kind of non-religious approach to a community, making space for not just, you know, doubt and uncertainty and stuff like that. I mean, that's fairly obvious stuff to me. But beyond that, really rethinking the way we understand the nature of the sacred versus the profane and things like that.
And why do you choose to, more times than not, operate out of the New Testament story, the biblical story, Jesus story?
Well, I find it. I mean, well, for two reasons. One, because I spent 30 years thinking about that stuff,
Yeah.
and I think there are things to be mined from there, and I still regard, at least within that horizon, I haven't come to the end of all of that yet. In terms of, I do think there are things that you can take away and that you can think about in terms of, if you like, the Jesus story or the New Testament as a whole, perhaps even the Bible as a whole, in terms of the way you can read the stories and use the stories to undergird and underscore points and issues about life, and maybe points and issues about religion. And one of the other things that I did, which I think is one of the things that maybe I think Jesus did, which is to sort of first and foremost critique the tradition. to problematize it. You know, Julia Kristeva talks about problematizing things, which is where you kind of ask questions of the thing itself. So you're not looking, or you don't go there for answers. You go there for the questions that get raised.
Any last words in conclusion here?
Oh, that was a conclusion?
Well, that was the beginning. Now this is the end.
Oh, that was very meandering of me then. I'm very sorry.
That was great.
Conclusions? No, because I don't think there is a conclusion. There, you know, there's no summary. It's ongoing, and I think you have to be open to seeing where conversations and ideas and notions and thoughts and issues and topics take you, rather than presuming that you're going to sort those things out. So I many years ago decided that I was done with trying to give people answers for life, done with trying to tell people this is how it works, and was much more interested in saying, I don't know how it works, and I don't know if it works, and I don't know if there's a solution to these things, but if we keep asking questions, and we keep thinking out loud, and we keep making space for fragility as well as strength, for brokenness as well as well-being, for, I don't know, pessimism as well as optimism, and exploding the myths of, you know, completion and wholeness and satisfaction and happiness and all those kind of things, that you can actually create a strong, vibrant, lively space where people can feel free to think about their lives and think about the way they live their lives in a much more liberating way.
You know, when you were chatting just now, we had some sirens pretty loud in the background.
Yeah. Oh, is that right? So do I need to say that again? 'Cause
No,
I can't remember
no.
what
We're gonna do it on this take. I kind of thought it was really prophetic.
Well, at least it wasn't pathetic, so that's
Not
probably
at all.
good then.
Now we're sending out the sirens,
The siren call.
the alarms. Yeah. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.